You may still be wondering, where do I fit into this picture? What can I do? You have a very important role to play. The first step in preventing a WMD attack is knowledge, knowing what to look for. The previous 3 lessons in this program have given you a brief overview of what terrorism is, what terrorists want, and the types of weapons they intend to use. While it is important to be able to rescue people and protect property in the event of a WMD attack, it is more important to prevent the attack from occurring in the first place. So we have focused on giving you various pre-incident indicators to recognize. You know your location and your site inside out. You may be the best person to recognize something is out of place, something odd, something that just doesn't fit. Reporting such observations through the proper channels of your post orders may be just the action that prevents another incident like the criminal attacks on September 11, 2001. For our common protection, the United States has a unified approach to information gathering and information sharing. When you make your report to your supervisor, he or she will pass that information along to the proper authorities, which in many cases is law enforcement. The law enforcement community has a set of responsibilities for a specially trained officer called a TLO, or Terrorism Liaison Officer. The TLO, or any sworn officer, will move the report along through proper channels. Thousands of small pieces of information flow into the intelligence databases every day. Trained analysts store, organize, and tag such pieces of data for potential tracking and follow-up. Most of the time, of course, the activity is harmless, or what one might call normal criminal behavior. But what if it isn't? In the following excerpt from a law enforcement training program, various experts describe the interrelationship between the small pieces of data reports to the larger intelligence effort.
Terrorism is the responsibility of local law enforcement. The responsibility, we have a duty to collect and prevent these kinds of acts. And the way we're going to do that is truly by getting the intelligence, seeing that one little sign or symptom, seeing that blasting cap, seeing that false ID, seeing that ID theft. That's how we're going to prevent this big picture explosion.
Terrorism has become more of a local threat. Now, obviously, since what happened on September 11th versus something that just used to happen overseas in a place you couldn't pronounce. And now we're using the police officers and their expertise in their community with community policing to provide intelligence and community awareness and public education to all the people in their jurisdiction, which overall helps the law enforcement capabilities in that jurisdiction.
The local law enforcement officer is the first one to notice a new extremist group, be it a religious group, be it an ethnic group, and so forth, an increase in rhetoric in the neighborhood for any given reason, a change in graffiti on the street, a change in the threats that appear to be coming from the neighborhood. The local officer is going to be the first to see that. And it's the job of the local officer to, instead of trying to call out what you think might be just a small fragment and not important information, get it into the state information system, where hopefully it gets into the federal information system. Somebody puts that together and analyzes that information, then that becomes intelligence that can be used to make an arrest or be used to stop an event in the crisis arena before it gets to the consequence arena.
Terrorism is something that can be prevented, but it's going to take a coordinated effort between all levels of law enforcement. Patrol officers, there's more of them in the field than anyone else. They're the ones that are going to be seeing things. They're the ones that are going to be out on routine radio calls, traffic stops. They're the ones that are going to see many of the indicators. They're the ones that are going to end up interdicting a potential terrorist action.
Well, I think it's probably the most important role. It's my belief, and I think with good reason, that probably the next terrorist event will be prevented by a patrol officer who is doing a good job, who takes that step to look a little further, asks a few more questions, and then that information comes to a person in my position it's forwarded to other agencies, and it may be just part of a bigger puzzle, but it may be the significant information to prevent an act of terrorism.
We know from prior history that one of the hijackers received a ticket 2 days prior to 9/11. So there you go. There was an officer who initiated a traffic stop of a future hijacker, issued him a ticket. So if law enforcement can learn or keep an open mind to who they're stopping and why they're stopping them, we may be able to identify, if not stop, the next terrorist attack just from a routine traffic stop.
I believe if terrorism happens in this country, if terrorist acts continue to occur, that at a local level, the law enforcement agents, the police officers, deputy sheriffs, and state patrols will be the actual ground troops in stopping these things. I don't think they have the wherewithal to stop them if they don't interact with each other and keep each other informed.
They're the foundation. They're the ground level. If anything occurs, it's as a result of the efforts of the patrolmen at the street level, far more than any organization with any acronym that we can associate. It's the line officer, the beat officer. They're the ones who interface on a daily basis with the public, and they're the ones who pick up the tidbits of information, the fragmented information, the little tiny bits and pieces of information that once they're put together in a mosaic, hopefully will provide some kind of an indication from which a command staff, an organizational policy can be established, and then maybe even on a tactical level a reaction can be mounted that might mitigate or obviate some kind of a significant threat a la 9/11.
I think the most important thing is for them to understand from the beginning that it is their fight. I still think in some organizations, some police officers, some police chiefs, some sheriffs, some deputies out there do not quite understand yet that they play a vital role in this war. For lack of training, lack of understanding, or just lack of willingness to become involved, that they are essential and crucial to the overall safety of the country.
While this video segment has shown the role of a law enforcement officer, the points apply equally to you as a security professional.